What's up, family? It's none other than your boy JGiddins, the father. As usual, remember to be positive, optimistic, keep positive people in your circle, as those three things are key to inviting positivity in your future. I want to first off show my respects and gratitude to anybody watching this video, and especially my appreciation to anybody who can make it through this video. This is going to be a lecture. As y'all may have noticed, I said that I'm going to start doing lectures because I think it's important for the information that I come across when I'm doing research to be shared and displayed amongst the masses, especially, the indigenous ones. Now listen, this lecture is titled, what did I title this? Why Time Isn't Real and the Link Between Calendars and Astrology/Astronomy. Now real quick, I just want to say before I get into it, the reason that I decided to do this lecture is because one of the things that always, used to be like in the back of my mind was like, I would hear people, I would hear and be able to grasp the concept that time is not real, but I would think to myself, well, if time is not real, and when we say time, we mean days, hours, months, we mean the calendar, right? When we say that's not real, I think to myself, well, for instance, my solar return is October 20th, so I'm a Libra. So I would think to myself, well, if time is not real, then how can I really be a Libra? Because that means the time is not real. So how do we, you know what I mean? So I would think to myself, like, what does that mean? So basically I decided to do this video because, in my research, I came across some things that kind of put two and two together for me. And the quickest, simplest way to say it is that the calendar is based off astrology. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think anybody should just accept somebody telling them something and just go with it, right? So I'm gonna go over this, right? Now, let's just go ahead and get started. So, like, I want to start off with just the calendar, right? Let's just go into what I use. Let me say this also. Everything that I'm using, that I'm finding out, that I'm reading, you have access to. So I don't want nobody to, like, think that I'm saying I'm right, you wrong, and, I'm the end all be all. You can find all the information that I'm about to go over, and I would recommend that you do it. And if you come across something that contradicts or can help me, please do. This is why we're doing this. This ain't no, I know everything, you don't, this is me, I put my energy into studies, you know what I mean? So I'm sharing the information that I come across because my heart cries. I'm an indigenous member of this planet. I'm a cosmic being. My heart cries when I come across information. So, the ancestors and the powers that be push me to want to share this information. You know what I'm saying? Not because I think I'm right or nothing, but just because it needs to be out there in the universe. Anybody who's familiar with manifestation and the way the universe works, you understand the importance of just having it out there, right? So let's just go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to start off with just calendar. Like, what is the calendar, right? Let's look into what they call a calendar, right? So the calendar is a system of organized days, right? Of organizing days. This is done by giving names to periods of time, right? Now, first off, one thing y'all notice, anytime that I do lectures, I'm always, when you see these blue links, right? When you see these blue links and stuff come up, make sure that you don't go forward until you know what that means, right? Because if you don't, then you can get lost, or you can get confused, or they can pull a wall over your head, right? So this is done by giving names to periods of time. Let's go to time and see what it says, right? See what it says time is, right? And we'll get back to the calendar. Time is the continued sequence of existence and events that occurs in an apparently irreversible succession. Now, pay attention to that word, apparently, right? Which is to appear. Apparently meaning it's uncertainty, right? You don't say that apparently, the sun is up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, irreversible succession from the past through the present into the future, right? It is a component, and I'm not going to click on these links just because I think we have a gist or, general idea what that is. It is a component quantity of various measurements used to sequence events to compare the duration of events of the intervals between them and quantify rates of change of quantities in material reality or in the conscious experience, right? So basically they're just explaining, what it means, right? But one thing I want to point out, right, is this, right? Time has long been an important subject of study in religion, philosophy, and science. Now, when you look up what religion is, we all know religion is, and I can do a live on this just to tell you, but religion is just a form of control. Religion is just meant to control a mass of people and make sure that they don't step out of bounds. That's what religion is. It limits your thinking and controls you in terms of what you're allowed to learn. Philosophy, I'm going to do a whole lecture on philosophy and philanthropy and philology, because this Phil part here, this is where Dr. Phil comes from. I'm going to do a lecture on that because I came across some stuff. These are just pretty words to mean, you know, controlling other beings and how they exist, essentially. All right. And science, which we know is, you know, their understanding of what they don't understand. So, but defining it in a manner applicable to all fields without circularity has consistently eluded scholars. So if we pay attention to this, they said defining it, and they're talking about time, defining time in a manner applicable to all fields without circularity, has consistently eluded scholars. Eluded means to get away from them, meaning they can't put a finger on it, right? So what is circularity? Let's see what they say circularity is. Circularity is a definition that uses the term being defined as part of the definition or assumes prior understanding. So we all know anytime you use a word to define a word, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's essentially, or you're not doing a good job explaining it. So what they're saying here when they say this is that basically scholars can't really put a finger on it. It eludes them. They can't get a real definition of what time is. That's essentially what they're saying. But let's go back. That was just a quick, you know. Alright, so we're going back here, right? Alright. This is done by giving names to periods of time, typically days, weeks, months, and years, right? A date is the designation of a single specific day within such a system. Now, what I'm going to do, because I don't want y'all to just have to sit here and watch me read everything, you can take a look at it. I just, you know, went to Wikipedia, typed in calendar, just so you can kind of see what they're saying about it, right? What I want to show you is, like, when we go down a little bit, right? Let me see. Well, let's just jump into it, right? So the calendar. So when was the first calendar made, right? The first calendar is, let's go into it, right? I believe it was the lunar calendar, but let's see. So we had Julius Caesar's, which I'm going to get into. We had the Islamic one, which I'll get into, and that's just, we got the Gregorian one, but I want you to see, like, so let's go to Julius, and that'll take us to the Roman, okay, let's go to the Roman calendar, right, because that that goes back to ancient Rome, right? So, one thing I want you to really realize is that when these calendars, right, okay, think about it like this, right? If a calendar was meant to just explain to you what existence is, why wouldn't it be neutral, right? Why would it be called the Roman calendar? Why would it be called the Roman calendar, the Julius calendar, the Gregorian calendar? Why are they naming it specifically to dictators and autocratic societies? You understand? So when you think about that, it helps you understand that this calendar is for the purpose of controlling people, not for the purpose of measuring anything. But I'll get into a little bit deeper what I mean, right? So the first calendar was the Roman calendar. There's actually one before the Roman calendar. It's the lunar, I think it's the lunar calendar. And they'll get into, let me see if I can find it. Here it is, prehistoric lunar calendar, right? And they'll get into, and even this calendar was named after Romulus, right? Look at this. Later Roman writers credited this calendar to Romulus, a legendary founder and the first king of Rome. Now you gotta understand what kings were. Kings were not nice people who just care about society and want everybody to know what's going on. Kings were dictators who cut your head off if you went against what they believed. So these calendars were created by these people. So you have to, once you understand that, you can really kind of, get the gist of why they would make such a thing, right? So, and this is further proof that Latin was the first language of the land. You know what I mean? You want to understand that Latin is how spells are cast. This is why they do that in Harry Potter. But not to go too deep into that. This is just sticking to the calendar. So I just wanted to show you that when you look up the calendar, you can see that it was created, right? Here's the lunar calendar I was talking about, right? They said the original Roman calendar is believed to have been observational an observational lunar calendar. So basically they're saying the Roman calendar was just like an imagery of this calendar, which, let's see what they say, the lunar calendar. A lunar calendar is a calendar based on the monthly cycles of the moon's phases, in contrast to solar calendars with annual. Yeah, so basically they was basing this on the moon rather than the sun, because there's other calendars that took place before this, like the lunar cycle, you know what I mean? Now, this is where you get into like understanding that when they came up with time, right? So basically the way you want to think of it is, right now it's, what time is it? Let's say it's 2:26 right now, right? So if I was to say, all right, we're not doing Gregorian calendar days and times no more. We're doing, cause I'm the king and y'all gonna do what I say. So 2:26 is Giddins o'clock on the Giddins calendar. So now going forward, you waking up and going to work at Giddins o'clock, right? Giddins o'clock is not a real time, right? Neither is these times. What they are is a check mark and a checkpoint for a certain energy. And this is what I'm trying to get to. So when they made these times, when they come up with these months and these names, these are based on deities. These are based on the cosmos. Let me fast forward to Julius's or Julian's, because they make it a little bit more obvious with Julius's calendar, right? So let's go to Julius Caesar, right? Let's go to Julius Caesar. He was reigning around like 60 BC, I think it was. 60 BC. So he, but if you look at it, it says, where is it mentioned about? So look, look at this. After assuming control of government, Caesar began a program of social and government reforms, including the creation of the Julian calendar. Right? So let's click on the Julian calendar. He gave citizenship to many residents. This is what I was talking about when I say a calendar does not serve the purpose of giving you, reality about what your existence is. It serves the purpose of governing a society and controlling them, right? So let's go to Julian's calendar, right? When we go to his calendar, this is what I wanted us to see right here, right? Let's read this top one. It says, the Julian calendar proposed by Julius Caesar and AUC, and you always want to click on these things so you know what they mean. I know what it means because I read it, but AUC is basically just, it stands for that crap. Ab urbe condita, which is Latin. Everything derives from Latin. That's why Latinos are the original people of this planet, the indigenous, just like we are. But this is basically like when, so see, look what it says. Abbreviated AUC express a date in years since 753 BC. So basically in 753 BC, they created AUC, which is AD1. It's basically like just when they started, changing things. You can look into that yourself to see more. I'm just flashing that stuff at you so when you look at it, you can look into it more if you want to. But anyway, the Julian calendar was a reform of the Roman calendar, right? That's the calendar we just talked about. So if the Roman calendar was the end all be all and this was right, why would he reform it? Why would you need to do that? Right? So that's one point that helps you understand the ideological insights of people who make calendars, right? What their true ideas are. But anyway, it took effect, right? It took effect on the calendar. It took effect on, hold on, my bad, y'all. It took effect on January 1 AUC. It was designed with the aid. This is what I want y'all to read right here. Look at this. It was designed with the aid of Greek mathematics and astronomers. Right? Now, first of all, let's look at what Greek mathematics is. I'm just going to show y'all real quick because I don't pass by links. Greek mathematics refers to mathematic text written. Let's click on it because it actually goes a little deeper. Mathematic text written and ideas stemming from archaic. What is archaic? Let's see what they mean by that. Archaic was the period in Greek history from the circa 800 BC. And see, this is why you need to know about the Punic Wars. I did another lecture on the Punic Wars so you can see when they took over different areas and killed the people that was there that they called the ancient Carthage, which was us. But look, so basically Greek mathematics is their understanding of let me just read it. So archaic through Hellenistic and Roman periods. You can look up Hellenistic. They're just referring to like time periods. You know what I mean? They're referring to time periods when the Greeks did whatever, right? But in Roman periods, mostly extant, right? Now, what does extant mean, right? Just so you can see, right? You always want to look these things up. Extant. Still in existence, surviving, right? Let's go back. Alright? So, basically, my bad. Mostly extant, or mostly existing from the 7th century BC to the 4th century AD around the shores of Eastern Mediterranean. Now, if you look up, once you study certain wars that I referenced in the other live that I did, you'll see when they took over the Eastern Mediterranean. This was all a part of Scipio Asiaticus's rule, which is where Asia comes from. They named Asia after him. The Scipios are a group of, listen, that's a whole nother lecture, but the Scipios are a group of like high-ranking like generals that went around killing everybody and just took the land. And then they started their philanthropy, right? Which is a cute word to mean we're going to take all y'all shit and make y'all believe what we want y'all to believe. But anyway, Greek mathematicians lived in cities spread over the entire Mediterranean from Italy to North Africa, right? Which was named after who? Scipio Asiaticus's big brother, which is Scipio Africanus, right? When you look at the Punic Wars, you'll see that they took over that whole land and they named it after him. So this tells you that what they learned came from the people who were there when they got there. This is where you connect dots at. So this is what we mean when we say, you know how you see videos where they say, white people got everything. And I don't believe in white people. First of all, I don't believe in white people. There's no such thing as white people. White is a color. I believe in phenotypes. They're Caucasoids. Caucasoids is a phenotype. It is a characteristic of DNA, and it gives you all of their qualities. So when you hear the term, and we are Negroid, which if you look it up, it's going to tell you, if you look up what Caucasoid is, it's going to say, characteristics observed of a genotype or DNA type from Caucasians. If you look up Negroid, it's going to say characteristics observed from the indigenous ones. Now, why would they say indigenous? If I gave you a plant and said, hey, this is a nice plant, and then I gave you another one and said this one is poisonous, you're going to assume that the one that I didn't say was poisonous wasn't poisonous, right? So they didn't say Caucasoids are not indigenous. But one can assume if he uses his brain that this is such. So what I'm saying is this is where the ideology that they got everything from us comes from. But you have to tie it all together. You can't just learn one thing. You have to learn all of this. Because if you just read this, you would be like, oh, okay, when the Caucasoids was in North Africa, they came up with Greek mathematics. But who was there first? And what did they do with all of the shit that they took when they killed them? This is where you piece it all together. And this is why I want to put this out there, just so that, you know, you can see this yourself. You can look it up yourself. So anyway, I ain't want to go that deep into it. We was really talking about the Julian calendar, right? So let's get back to it. It was designed with the aid of Greek mathematicians and astronomers, right? So what is this? What is astronomy, right? Greek astronomy. Greek astronomy is astronomy written. So look, then they got astronomy in a whole separate category. What is astronomy? Let's look at this. Astronomy is a natural science that studies celestial objects and phenomena, right? If anybody's seen the movie Eternals, you saw they had the celestials in there, right? You would think that was just a movie, right? You would think, oh, that's just a movie. Celestials are not a real thing. They knew back in Greek mythology that, or Greek times, they call it mythology, so you think the shit fake like they do sci-fi, but they knew back in Greek times that celestials were real. This is, you can, you know, kind of piece this together. It uses mathematics, physics, and chemistry in order to explain their origin and evolution, right? So what this means is that they used the studies of celestial objects and phenomena to create the Julian calendar. So that means the Julian calendar was created based on celestial studies. So this is, remember what I was saying about how if right now at this time it's 2:35, I was to say, all right, it's Giddins o'clock. And then I make a whole surrounding of, you know, my daughter's name is Journey. My other daughter's name is Justice. So at the next hour, when it's 3:36, I say, all right, now it's Justice o'clock. At 4:36, I say it's journey o'clock. Now you have an entire calendar that's based on me. But when somebody 100 years down the line comes along and says, yo, that time is not real, there's no such thing as Giddins o'clock, they gonna be like, what you mean there's no such thing as Giddins o'clock? But this is the concept. You have to understand this concept to even conceive how time is not real. Otherwise, it'll just seem like that neutralizing word that they came up with, which is called conspiracy theory, right? And I can actually show you where the term conspiracy theory came from. The term conspiracy theory came from the kingdoms. When people were rebelling against stuff, they created the term conspiracy theory and just labeled anybody that. So now it even works to this day. I mean, they could literally say, we about to go kill everybody. And if anybody says anything, conspiracy theorists, and all of the people who sleep and they scared and they don't want to believe it, what they gonna do? Conspiracy theory. They're not gonna look into it, nothing. They just conspiracy theory, because it's an easy way out to not think, you know what I mean, and to not have any kind of like fear. So anyway, my bad. Let's get back to it, y'all. So this is the Julian calendar, right? I'm about to wrap it up. My bad, y'all. I know I've been going for a minute, but all right. So then. And I'm really going through these calendars so you can see the association of the calendar with dictatorship and ruling, right? So this was called the Julian calendar, not the explanation of life calendar, this was called the Julian calendar. Just like the Bible is the King James version, which was the version that they created when he was moving west with his rulership and dictating, and he needed to keep people in line because that's what religion is for. But so Pope Gregory, right? So then we get here. This is what most of people follow, right? The calendar became the predominant calendar in the Roman Empire and subsequently most of the Western world for more than 1600 years until 1582, when Pope Gregory promulgated a minor modification. So he changed it, and they actually killed him right after he did that too. And this is, anyway, we'll get to it. Promulgated a minor modification. Let's see what they consider minor modification. Do they say it? Are they going to say it? Hold on. Okay, no, it just takes you to another part of it. All right, let's go back up. All right, so he promulgated and promulgated, I looked that up. It just means he made it happen. He dictated, he made it happen. A minor modification to reduce the average length of the year from 365, 25 days to 365.24 to 5 days, and thus corrected the Julian calendar, the Julian calendar's drift against the solar year, right? Because remember, before Caesar created the Julius calendar, he made that from the lunar calendar, which was a variation of the solar calendar, which was based on the solar year. But he wanted to switch it back to that, right? That was, it's important that you know that so you can kind of put pieces together as to why they killed him after he did that. We're going to get to it. Hold on. Worldwide adoption of the revised calendar, which became known as the Gregorian calendar, took place over the subsequent centuries. First in Catholic countries, right? And subsequently in Protestant countries. Let's see what they say Protestant is, what that means, because maybe people won't know that. A form of Christianity. Huh? Anywho, Protestant countries of the Western Christian world. Now, I'm trying to see if we can get to where they killed him. Hold on. Let's go to this real quick. Slight deviation, right? Slight deviation. Because I don't know specifically where it said it at, right? Oh, I said 3 months. They killed him 3 years after. See, he created the Gregorian calendar in 1582, which it's important for you to know it was a reform of the Julius calendar, and then his death was in 1585. Now, when you go down a little further, they tell you, let me see if we go to death, if it tell you there. They say the Pope suffered from a fever. This is not consistent with what I've come across. Hold on, y'all. See, this is where I should have marked where I saw it at, because there's inconsistencies all throughout here, because it's not meant to really like let you know what's going on. It's meant just because it got to be documented. Okay, election as Pope. Upon the death of, bear with me for 2 seconds, y'all. Okay. Pope Gregory and Gregory the Great. brief conclave. Okay, so I'm telling y'all that the Pope was killed because he changed that. However, I will say take that with a grain of salt for the simple fact that I'm not showing you specifically where it said that, and my apologies for that. I should have done a better job at making sure. Let's go back though. All right, so Pope Gregory, which is Latin, right? Everything is based on Latin. You want to remember that, right? Go back again. All right, now. Alright, so the Gregorian, hold on, let's go to the Gregorian calendar, which I think we can get to from, okay. So then we get to the Gregorian calendar. Now, the Gregorian calendar is the calendar used in most of the world. It was introduced in October 1582. Oh, I think we might be coming to it. 1582 by Pope Gregory the 13th. And this is Roman numerals if y'all don't know. Look up Roman numerals so you can know, most people who familiar with football and all that, you might know that they use, oh my goodness. I just put that together, y'all. I just put that together. They use Roman numerals for football. It's all, look, so anyway, look. So look. Pope Gregory the 13th as a modification of and replacement of the Julian calendar. The principal change was to space leap years differently so as to make the average calendar blah 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 days long, more closely approximating tropical or solar year that is determined by the Earth's revolution around the sun. So basically the Gregorian calendar was more so based on, the sun's energy as it circulated, right? And this is what they did. They basically marked the date as to when the sun's energy was at a certain time. But now we believe we age based on that. And this is the whole thing. So what I want to get to is where they talk about how the Pope created it, right? And how he had the help of, give me 1 second. Because there's a section that says it might be under Pope Gregory's, right? Hold on. The Gregorian calendar. Let's go here. I think it's here. Where are you? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. So basically what I'm trying, let me just summarize what I'm looking for while I'm doing this. There's a section that lets you know that the creation of the Gregorian calendar was done with a team of astrologists, right? And what does this say? Okay, Pope Gregory the 13th is best known for commissioning the Gregorian calendar, initially authored by the Dr. Astronomer Aloysius Lilius, right? Let's see what they say about Aloysius, because you don't want to go past these links. Also variously referred to as Luigi. Now where do we know Luigi from, right? He was an Italian doctor, astronomer, and philosopher and chronologist. Chronologist just means he determines the order of things and how they happened, right? So this guy who was an astronomer, and if we look at let's look at what astronomy is. Did we look at that already? I don't know, but if so, this is astrology, my bad. The first thing they say is not to be confused with astronomy, because they call astrology pseudoscience, right? Let's go to astronomy. There's a reason they do that too, and that's a whole nother lecture, or a whole nother topic for me to talk about. But let's see what astronomy literally meaning the science that studies the laws of the stars. The laws of the stars. So that means when he created the calendar, oh wait, I'm on the wrong, my bad y'all, let me go back to the other, when he created this calendar, it was created or authored by an astronomer, which obviously study the stars and celestials, right? We know that this is what astronomy is. It's the study of celestials. So what you really just want to understand, what it does is, when you notice information, what it does is it helps you understand why when somebody says time ain't real, energy is real. Celestials don't run off of time. You understand? Celestials don't run off of 8:30, 9:30, none of that. Celestials run off of energy. So the same way I told you right now is 246. I can make that Giddins o'clock, and then I can make 346 Journey o'clock. The basis of me creating this Giddins calendar is based on the time that exists right now, right? The basis, and when I say time, I mean the Gregorian calendar, right? Which is an evolution of the Julius calendar, which is an evolution of the Roman calendar, which is, you know what I'm saying? But based on that, their basis, what was their basis for theirs? That's what you have to understand. So when they made theirs and they work with these, when they work with these astronomers, their basis for theirs was the way the stars were aligned and what energy was coming off of the stars. It gets a little deeper than that, but I think I'm gonna be bordering stuff that I can't really go into for just this live to explain it. But I just wanted people to see that there's a direct correlation between there's a direct correlation. Move this, please. There's a direct correlation between the Gregorian calendar and astronomy. You know what I mean? And through this guy, right? Because once you see that, it helps put the pieces together. Peace reflection. Much respect and love and gratitude to anybody who's in this live and anybody who made it through this live, who like watched the whole thing. You have like my utmost, respect and gratitude, because it means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't just do this to do this. It means a lot to me. And it's important because this is my purpose. You know what I'm saying? To teach, or not even to teach, to share my information and knowledge that I come across. We all know that knowledge is information, but wisdom is the application of knowledge and information. So we can't expect people to make wise decisions or to make good decisions, which would be wise. We can't expect people to be wise if they don't have knowledge. So we out here talking about, people need to. But the things that you saying people need to are wise. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. So how are you expecting them to make wise decisions without knowledge when wisdom is the application of knowledge? So it's like it makes no sense to even expect things to change without knowledge. So we have to get this, we have to get the knowledge out there so that people can have, and then it gets a little deeper, because then there's other things like frequency and such, your surroundings that affect whether or not you will actually apply it. But the first step is to get it out there. And it's funny because one of my followers, or one of the people that follow me or that I follow as well, he posted a video where he was talking about how they putting the walls up around, the White House and whatever the place is over in the UK. And he was saying, something might be going on here. I don't know what this is, but maybe we should pay attention. But I don't think they're gonna do anything crazy, blah blah blah. He was talking about how they're talking about overthrowing Biden and all this stuff, and he was like, but I don't think they can do that because it's not legal and stuff like that. And I'm like, bruh, you know who killed Julius Caesar? You know who killed Julius Caesar? Politicians, bro. What are you talking about? Let's go to Julius Caesar real quick. Look at this. Assassination by stab wounds. Right? And you know why they killed him? Because he was dictating too much. And they got scared of him. And they actually made, let's go to it. Hold on. They actually made a what I was saying to you, hold on, I'm gonna jump back to it, give me 2 seconds. What I was saying to the guy who posted that was, you have to know what happened in history to know how these things work. When they killed Julius Caesar, which they set him up and killed him in a room, this is a picture of it, with a bunch of politicians in there, right? When they killed him, they came out with a word, with a law for why they were okay to kill him. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. This is deviating a little bit, but I feel like maybe I just pull it up, because anybody who made it this far through the video is actually probably paying attention and, or have interest. So let me just see, hold on, why they, if they'll show why they killed him. I think I gotta go back to his page and then go to death in the contents. I think that's where they said it at. Cause I read all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like from beginning to end. I just don't remember, assassination. Maybe we have to go here. Okay. So on on the Ides of March, right? And you remember, you never want to let, yeah, I'm definitely saving the Spirit K, of course, definitely. On the Ides of March, and you definitely don't want to let these links go by you. You got to look these up, everything, so you don't get lost. The Ides of March is the 74th day in the Roman calendar, right? Mind you, this is before Julius created his, Trilla Exat Assassin's Creed origins. This is exactly what they were talking about in Assassin's Creed. But the 74th day in the Roman calendar, corresponding to the 15th March, it was marked by several religious observances and notable, so basically they just want you to know the time frame in which this happened. But on 44 BC, which was about 16 years after Caesar's rule, he started, I think, around 60 BC, Caesar was due to appear at a session of the Senate. Now look at this, the Senate. That's what we use today. Now, the more research you do, you find out where Julius Caesar got it from. This is where they got the Senate from. This is where you gotta do research into the Punic Wars and see how they conquered all the land and took every ideology that they had and just reapplied it. Because when we say everything they got from us, we not just talking shit. Several senators had conspired to assassinate Caesar. Right? This is the same Senate that we have today. But yet everybody like, oh man, I don't think it's possible they gonna conspire against the president. They been doing this. You know how in Training Day, if y'all seen Training Day, remember in Training Day when he was like, oh man, you've been planning this all day, right? Jake was like, you've been planning this all day. He said, all day? I've been planning this all week, son. Peace reflections. Peace to everybody in the comments. One love to y'all. I really respect and show y'all gratitude for coming into my live, and for watching this video, even if you watching it back. But senators had conspired to assassinate Caesar. Antony, right? And we can look up who Antony is. They didn't make it a link, but you can look it up. I ain't gonna do it right now because even this conversation is a sidetrack from, the real topic of the calendar. Antony, having vaguely learned about the plot right before, from a terrified liberator named Servius, fearing the worst, went to head Caesar off, right? So Antony was, just to tell y'all, Antony was Caesar's right-hand man. And when they killed Caesar and people came into place after him, his uncle and such, Antony was challenging them. You can look up the whole thing. I read it all. Maybe I'll do a lecture on it too. And if people wonder why that's not important, why it's important to know all of this stuff, because people wonder, that's his story. That's not our story. That's their story. But it's important to know this if you are a person who consider yourself American, right? If you consider yourself American, meaning a descendant of Amerigo Vespucci, right, which is an Italian explorer that they named America after, then you need to know this because you believe this is your history. If you vote in, you taking part in this American system, then you need to know this because this is the history. You know what I'm saying? Let me go back though. So I want to get to the part where they made this. They came up with a law. They always got some big word to make it okay for them to do shit. So when they killed Caesar, the plotters, however, had anticipated this and fearing that Antony would come to Caesar's aid. Mind y'all, Antony tried to warn Caesar because this person right here, let's look up who this person is right quick, was one of the assassins of Julius Caesar, right? He and several other senators conspired to kill him. Oh, okay, yeah. He learned of the plot that he was doing, right? He tried to warn him. Now, fearing that Antony would come to Caesar's aid, the plotters, this dude and the rest of the other senators, the plotters had arranged Trebonius to intercept him. What is Trebonius? You can't let these go by. Trebonius Gaius, a military commander, and see, he's one of the people who was going against Antony after they killed Caesar, but a military commander and politician. Now, you see what I'm saying? What are they talking about now? The military overthrowing, the president's rule, the military running into the White House, and people saying, no, they're not going to do that. They can't do that. They've been doing this, son. A military commander and politician of late Roman Republic who became suffect consort in 45 BC. He was an associate of Julius Caesar. That was Julius Caesar's man, having served as his legate and having fought on his side. Look at this. He fought on Caesar's side and conspired to kill him. This is what their greed does. This is what power and them wanting to do does. It's no different today. This is why it's important to notice, because there's no difference today. But I'm trying to, like I said, get to the point where they made. Hold on. Alright, let me just read through it. Intercept him just as he approached the portico theater of Pompeii. Let's see what the theater of Pompeii is. I think that's just like a theater that they had. It was a structure in ancient Rome. Yeah, so this, when Caesar was on his way, when Antony was on his way here, which is where they killed Caesar, to tell him, they intercepted him, right? Where the session was to be held, and detained him, and they locked him up, right? When he heard the commotion outside the Senate chamber, he fled. Oh, they didn't lock him up. They were attempting to detain him, and he fled. Let's see what this little link means right here. Oh, that's just a link to some further documentation you can find out more about. According to Plutarch, I don't know who that is. We can look it up though, obviously. I ain't gonna do it right now because this is all a sidetrack. As Caesar arrived at the Senate, Tullius Cimber, who's this traitor, right, was a Roman senator. He was one of the assassins. So he's just one of his homeboys. As Caesar arrived, he presented him with a petition to recall his exiled brother. The other conspirators round to support. Both Plutarch and blah blah blah, these just traitors, say that Caesar waved him away, but Cimber grabbed his shoulders and pulled Caesar's tunic. A tunic, I believe, is a garment that they wore. Yeah, it's a garment of the body usually, blah blah blah. But you should just click on these so that you can know, you know what I'm saying? Caesar then cried to Cimber, "Why? This is violence," right? Why? This is violence, right? Casca. Alright, let's just get to it, right? Because I'm really sidetracking, because there's something else I wanted to get to. They made a law, bro. I should have found this out. Caesar turned around quickly and caught Casca by the arm. They just describing how they killed him right there. Okay, here we go. Aftermath of the assassination. I think this might have been where I read it. It was so much that I read, it just all runs together. The result of the unforeseen by the assassins was that Caesar's death precipitated the end of the Roman Republic, the Roman middle and lower classes, which is just what they say. The plebeians were the general body of the Roman citizens. Who are the plebeians? Let's take a look real quick. My bad, y'all. I don't like letting shit pass me. The plebeians were ancient Rome. Hold on. The plebeians were the general body of the. Okay, so they're citizens. They are what we are called. What they call us today? They call us the constituents, right? See how they make these big words to confuse your ass? The constituents, right? So basically, all right. My bad. Let's look. So what is Optimates? Also known as Bonnie. Blah blah blah. Okay, they're supporters and continue. So all right. So let's read through it real quick. With whom Caesar. All right. So. Alright, the result unforeseen by the assassins was that Caesar's death precipitated the end of Roman Republic. The Roman middle and lower classes, with whom Caesar was immensely popular and had been since before Gaul, became enraged, and a small group of aristocrats had killed their champion. So basically, this is kind of, oh my bad, I ain't even got y'all on it. So basically, this was an unforeseen response. When they killed him, they thought everybody was just going to get in line. But it actually ended the whole Roman Republic, because they was like, nah, because they was Caesar like that. And Antony, who had been drifting apart from Caesar, capitalized on the grief of the Roman mob and threatened to unleash them on the whatever, right? Which is the Bonnie. You can go into that and look it up. I ain't going to do it. Because I'm really just trying to get to, just know, alright. I don't want to waste too much. It's not a waste of time at all. It's actually not a waste of time, because this is more important than anything, in my opinion. But I really wanted to just tell y'all that there was a law. He said check plebs made in the UK on YouTube. Understood? There was a law that they created which made it okay for them to kill Caesar, like afterwards. And it was because they feared that he was a problem. It was basically some word that meant it's okay to kill him because he was a problem. You know what I'm saying? And this is what they could do today. So when you say like, oh no, I don't think they're going to do that, all they got to do is just create the law and do it. You know what I'm saying? Peace reflection, peace reflection. So to summarize, this was all a big deviation. This was all a big digression, me going into that. I just wanted to go into that so I could kind of touch on the fact. And then you got to understand, right, the reason they did this to Caesar was because when he became king, he was really like trying to like rule everything. He started something called the first triumvirate, right, which was an informal alliance among three prominent politicians, right? And this references the time of the three, what they call it, I forget what they call it. It's like the time of the three leaders or something, because there was a time where there was three leaders. None of that's really relevant to the calendar, but just know that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just know it so that like you get when they doing stuff today that it's just a repetition of what they've already done, so that it's not outside of your like ability to conceive. You know what I'm saying? So basically what I wanted to say with this calendar, like in closing, is that like, let's get back to the calendar. Hold on, my bad. Let's get to the Gregorian calendar actually. How we get back to it? Let's go to, and you see how these, y'all see how when you start studying stuff, a bunch of other stuff will just flow because it all run together. Because they came and fucked everything up when they got to this planet and took everything. So like everything ties in. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this ties into the Punic Wars. Now the Gallic Wars, which I looked into as well, you can look into that. The Gallic Wars was just them trying to take over, what did it say? Was waged between 58 BC and 50 BC, right? Which was slightly after, you know, Caesar came in control, right? Where he was trying to take the peoples of Gaul. You know what I'm saying? This was still them warring against each other though, because you can see that even those people, they took that land too when you look into it. But point of the matter is, see, I'm getting sidetracked. The point of the matter is, oh, here's the calendar. So the point of the matter is, when you see that you got the Julian calendar, when you see that you got the, you know, where you at, Pope Gregory, when you see that you got the Gregorian calendar, right? These calendars, when you understand what happened and you know more about it, it helps you to be able to conceive what's going on. You know what I'm saying? If you never heard of a gun before, and I told you, yo, it's some dudes with these metal objects that shoot you from afar that can hit you, they on their way down here, you would laugh and be like, shut the hell up, and you would get your ass shot. Because you can't conceive it being a thing because you never knew it to happen. You know what I'm saying? But once you see it and you know it can happen, then it's like, oh snap, then you can see it. So once you just understand that calendars, and let's go to what calendar is, right? When we just type in calendar, right? What do they say about calendar? Hold on, y'all. My bad. I actually type really fast, but I got this phone in my hand, so it's like hard for me. It's not hard, but so when they say a calendar is a system of organizing days, right? What are days? What they say days are? Let's go here real quick, because I like to like literally pick apart everything they're saying. The word day has a number of meanings depending on the context. It is used such as astronomy, physics, and various calendar systems. So all of this shows you that there's more intertwined into a calendar than just what they tell you. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that a calendar is directly associated with a ruler in every point of its existence, it's associated with a ruler. The Gregorian calendar, Pope Gregory XIII. The Julius calendar, Julius Caesar. The Roman calendar, I don't remember who the Roman calendar was, but it was the Roman king, Romithus, right? Then didn't I show that? Did I show that to y'all? Give me 10 seconds and I'm gonna have it back up. The Roman calendar, right? Which was used by the Roman kingdom. What does the word kingdom mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Anything that's used by a kingdom is meant for dictatorship. So a calendar was started by with the Roman kingdom, which was headed by, I think his name was Rotulus or something like that. I don't remember offhand, because it's not necessary, because they all fucking, here he is, Romulus. This is the guy. Romulus was a legendary founder and first king of Rome. Various traditions attribute establishment of many of Rome's oldest legal. Look at this. So, see, and this is why when I say the same thing that they did to Caesar, it's the same shit now. Rome's oldest legal, political, religious, and social institutions. The same stuff they was doing to people, they do now. The only difference is they hide it behind the illusion of politics. You know, left and right wing, Democratic, Republican. That shit is a joke. There's no such thing as left and right. They all go chill at the same party when they get done this show that they put on for you to make you believe that you have the illusion of choice. But what I'm just again tying together is all of these calendars. For everybody who come in, who's still in alive right now, one love, peace to y'all. I really appreciate the fact that y'all came in. For the people who've been here and actually stayed through, you have my gratitude and respect. I really appreciate you, because this, you see, this is how we make change. Everybody doing these, videos talking about this is people dumb, they want this, they want that. But this is how we make change. Because again, wisdom, which is the application of knowledge, requires knowledge. And wisdom is necessary to make wise decisions. So how you expect somebody to not take the jab when they're unwise? And how you expect them to be wise when they have no knowledge? And how you expect them to have knowledge when you sitting on it? You know what I'm saying? You got it underneath you, talking about, man, why don't nobody got this, man? You got it in this knowledge, right? This knowledge. I'm like, man, ain't nobody got this. Why they don't got this, man? Man, these niggas, they dumb, they don't got this. Call them over here and give it to them. Now, once they have the knowledge, at that point, it's their decision on whether or not they want to act on it, which is the application of wisdom. Now, that requires some other things, you know what I'm saying, which we could touch on as well. That's why this is not the only lecture that I'm doing. It's not like you do this and then the end all be all. These are all breadcrumbs. For anybody that follow Divine Insight, you know what I'm saying, you know that, as he says all the time, this shit is deep. You know what I'm saying? This shit run deep. And when he say this shit run deep, he's not joking. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's not just saying that to say it. This shit really run deep. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to notice. To sum it up, the title of this lecture was Why Time Isn't Real, and the link between calendars and astronomy, right? And I say this, and to sum it up, you can see that every king, even Pope Gregory, who was one of the rulers of Catholicism and Christianity, used astronomers, which in the Bible that Christians use, it tells you you'll burn in hell for studying. Are we on the same page with that? We are feeling that in our soul. In the Bible, in Leviticus, I believe it is, it tells you you will burn in hell if you study astrology. Yet these same concepts were used to create the Gregorian calendar, which was created by Pope Gregory, who was the dictator who forced Christianity on every land they took over. Every land they took over. This has been alive on Why Time Isn't Real. And when I say time isn't real, I mean it's based off of its basis, its substrate is something that's not hours and days. Hours, days, minutes, months was all created on the basis of something else. That's what I mean when I say time is not real. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that. So when you really sitting there saying, I'm like me, per the Gregorian calendar, which was modified how many times? Now that we know? At least 5? right? When I say I'm 35 Gregorian calendar days old or years old, what does that really mean? Because days and years are just Giddins o'clock when it was 311. So what it really is an energy that they measured through astronomy. So you study astronomy and then you really understand where zodiac signs come into play, which are celestial beings, which is what astronomy studies. I hope that anybody who watched this, it at least opened a little bit up to you, so that when people say time is not real, you're not looking at it like, how time not real when I got a clock right there? How time not real when everybody... And here's another thing I just remembered that I wanted to show y'all. Hopefully I can get to it within a reasonable amount of time. I know I gotta go back to Pope Gregory's page, right? Pope Gregory had, excuse me y'all, that bang was my son, he just banged on the door. Pope Gregory, right, when we talk about, I hope I can get to it within a good time. Hold up. They mentioned that, matter of fact, I think we have to go to the Gregorian calendar to see it. Hold on. They mentioned that, see how it says, the Gregorian calendar is the calendar, let's just read through it so I can get to my point. The Gregorian calendar is used in most of the world. It was introduced 1582 by Pope Gregory, blase. Let's skip through that because that's not going to say it. There were two reasons to establish the Gregorian calendar. First, because he wanted to change Julian's, blah, blah, blah. We know that, right? But there's a section where it will tell you that there's only certain parts of the world that actually adopted that calendar, right? And those were the parts of the world that I'll look for it in my mind. I'm going to look for it in here as I'm talking to y'all. But there was only certain parts of the world that actually adopted the calendar. And those were the parts of the world that were under Roman rulership, right? So listen, if he created the calendar in 1582, right? If he created the calendar in 1582 and the United States was established in the 1700s or whenever the hell it was after 1582, and they ran off the Gregorian calendar, what does that tell you? See, there were I'm still gonna look for it. There were societies and nations, right? And nations are just groups of people that were put together and forced to follow a certain culture. So when people be like, I'm Jamaican, I'm this, I'm that, you're just, that's a nation. That's like if I went to a place with a military and took 1 million people captive and then put them in some land and called that land Giddins land. Now, 100 years later, they will be saying, I'm a Gideons. I'm Gideon. You know what I'm saying? A nationality has nothing to do with a being's existence and what you truly are. It's just a way that they defined you. You know what I'm saying? But I keep on getting sidetracked, y'all. What I'm saying is there were many nations that did not adopt the Gregorian calendar, and they wouldn't. The only ones that would were the ones that were under Roman rulership. So what does that tell you about the United States? Since the induction of the United States, since the introduction, peace reflection, since the creation of the United States, it has been under Gregorian calendar leadership, right? And there's been several other calendars, just for anybody who might see this and be like, well, there's more calendars. You can see them over here. You know what I'm saying? There's several other calendars, right? And it just adds more to my point, because each one of these are associated with a leader. You know what I'm saying? They got the Islamic calendar, right? Let's see if they got that over. The Islamic calendar, right? Let's see what they say that is. Hold on. Let's go to this. The Islamic calendar, right? What are they saying? Also known as the lunar Hijri, however you pronounce it, as the Islamic, Muslim, and Arabic calendar, is a lunar calendar. So this is based off the one that the Roman calendar had modified, right? But it's tied to, remember how I was saying every calendar is tied to dictatorship. It's tied to some form of control. The Islamic calendar was based on the religion of Islam, and it was meant for the purpose of keeping people in a certain order and following a certain, so they could tell them, this is the time you pray, this is the time you do this. This is the purpose of a calendar. And I'm not trying to like speak down on enough. I know it's a lot of like real strong Islamic people out there. I'm not trying to speak on your stuff, whatever. What I'm just saying is you have to understand what happened. You have to understand how we got here in order for you to fight off the control and the hold that religion has on you. You have to know the truth. You have to have the knowledge to apply the wisdom. So anybody out there who's Christian, this should really just make you think. This should really make you think. Alright. One love, family. Peace to all the reflections. Y'all have my gratitude and respect for being in my live. One love to everybody who came in. This has been a lecture on why time isn't real and the link between calendars and astrology, which is basically to be summarized to say time is based on something outside of days, months, years. All of that was made up on the basis of something else. And they were done with the assistance of astronomers, which conflicts with what the Bible says, which is what the Pope stood for and killed people for not following. So at very least, that's contradictory. One love, reflections. I got more. I got like 5 more lectures I want to do. I'm debating on if I want to do them today, but I'm definitely going to do them. All right. I love y'all. Peace, reflections. Peace.